The three blind mice, Lee of Time Riders Wee Little Cars, George of Hodges Hot Wheels and Diecast, and Paul of Fat Guy Productions, have once again invited the community to join them in a community build. This month, it's a Matchbox 75 Chevy Caprice Classic. That's it that you see there on the screen. I really wasn't sure what to do with this thing. So, for whatever reason, I thought it would be fun to take this and try. I wanted to change the color of it. I really didn't care for the color on this one. And I thought I want to change the color, and then I'm going to try weathering it a different way. So, take it apart. You see it has a plastic base. It has the cream-colored interior, metal body, and the glass. And this time I'm actually showing how I tap these things. I usually just kind of skip showing this step. I really need to get one of those handles. I think they're put out by Bright Vision, the one that Paul over at Fat Guy Productions has shown a few times. And that seems like a much better way to do it than this way. The tap tends to wobble in the chuck on this thing, which doesn't help. But anyhow, we go through the basic process, and got to get the body cleaned up. It did have some casting lines, and I'll take you through getting it ready for paint. Having some curved tip tweezers sure made it easy to pop these wheels out of the plastic base. I honestly don't know that I've ever had a pair just pop out of there any easier than these did. Of course, can't say it ever crossed my mind to use the tweezers in this way before. Now, I do hit the body with Krylon Gloss Bahama Sea. You've seen me use this color before. I really like it. And I did go over some of what would be the chrome trim with just the silver Sharpie. But then I decided that I wanted to try weathering using colored pencils. Now there's an Instagram user, BarryHark76. There you see his Instagram address. His name is Barry Harker, and he does absolutely amazing work with just colored pencils. And we're not talking fancy colored pencils. We're not talking about, something special. He's using really basic ones, and that made me get just a cheapo set of Faber-Castell colored pencils. And you see me, I'm using them here. Now, the one thing I realized, you look at his work, and it's truly amazing. But he does kind of talk you through how to do it and how to use lighter pencils of the same color to lighten areas on the body panels, and then use some of the browns to create rust and weathering. And I highly recommend that you check him out on Instagram. Again, his work is amazing to see what he can do with pencils. it's such a different process compared to some of the other things you see in the diecast community. And it seems to be more forgiving. What you do is you lay down some of the colors, and then you hit it with, when you have something you like, you hit it with a matte clear coat, and then you add more. Now, I think one spot where I screwed up is the clear coat I used. I used Rust-Oleum matte clear enamel, and I think that's far too heavy. What would happen is, as I'd put particularly the light colors, they wouldn't hold up. Once I'd hit them with the clear, they would almost just fade away. And he did mention in his information to use I don't recall what he used, but it's a very light matte coat. And so I probably should have used a hobby paint, a hobby clear, as opposed to just a Rust-Oleum clear coat. But I think you'll see the results are still kind of interesting. So I'll let you watch me work on this for a while. Something else Barry mentions is to make sure and keep your pencil sharp. And I'm thinking I might have been a little weak in that area too. Now, it was about this time I busted out my old friend, Citadel Null Oil. Yeah, it's just basically a black wash, and I used it to fill in the grill and some of the lower grill panels. I also did the interior in this, as you'll see later. But Null Oil has this way of just giving everything a lot better look, a more natural look. And as you can see, I kind of went over an edge there, but it's easy enough to clean up. And I really do like the effects of it. I did the tail lights with Tamiya Clear Red. And yeah, I'm using a toothpick here, but you'll see I'm kind of sloppy about it. I did not use the Molotow chrome pin on this vehicle anywhere. I used the Sharpie pins because I didn't want a bright, shiny chrome. And so on something like the taillights here, I put the silver down first because I had hit that base with black, flat black. Went over the areas I wanted with the silver. And then now I'm filling in the taillights with the clear red. And I truly am being sloppy with it because I'm going to go over it later again with the silver pin to sharpen up those taillights. What's in the recesses should stay red, and then I'm just going to basically catch the top, the raised edges with the silver. And I used a similar approach on the front indicator lights. I used the Tamiya orange, clear orange on those. I really like the looks of these two paints. And in the past, I've tried to mix up my own kind of, well, for lack of a better way of describing it, robin's egg blue out of two Citadel colors, out of the Citadel blue and the Citadel white. And so I mix them up. It's surprising how little blue you want to put into the mix, and then add a lot of white. And here I'm using one of these paint picks that, once again, these are something that are used for fingernail painting. There's so many things relating to fingernail painting that just come in handy on these little small cars. And so these picks have a round ball, a metal ball tip to them, which makes doing something like those tiny headlights really a lot easier to do. Of course, I still was a little sloppy and had to clean it up with a toothpick. But still, it was a lot easier with the paint pick. And so I decided, I think you can see it here, what I ended up doing with the silver pin to just sharpen. You can see how it was kind of sloppy when I did it originally, and now I'm just lightly going over the higher silver areas to actually make the red taillights sharper, if that makes sense. This is one of those things that after the car was finished, I was looking at it again, and it was like, man, I wish I had done that even better. I did not paint I did not change the color of the interior of the car. It was this kind of creamish color, and I thought that was fine. I did go over it with Nuln Oil, and I don't think I show it to you here, but off camera, there were some areas that I went over with black Citadel paint as well, as opposed to just the shading from the Nuln Oil. I painted around the windowsills, that back deck, and around the front there with just truly flat black. I didn't have it be a shading because I thought it was a little more important to have those areas dark. And I hope you like the end results on that. After I had done some of this with the Nuln Oil, it was a little too dark for me, so I took a Q-tip and removed some of it. I did that off camera. But again, it's one of those things about the Nuln Oil that you can always adjust it. It's a very handy thing to work with. And there you can kind of see also on the base what I had done. It's under my hand now, but we'll get this thing thrown together and see if you like the end results or not. I have a lot to learn about weathering. That's the one thing that I definitely came away from this knowing. So I'd like to take a moment now to thank the Three Blind Mice, Lee, George, and Paul, for inviting all of us to participate in these events. Again, they kind of push us out of our comfort area a lot of times and to try and builds that we might not otherwise try. Lord knows I probably would have never grabbed this Caprice to work on. But it's kind of interesting. And I don't know when or if I'll do another one. But it was fun to do. And I really appreciate that they hold these events for us. And be sure and check out all the other builders too. I'll put a link below to each of the Three Blind Mice and their channel, which they'll do a recap video of all of the builds. Here's where we started. Again, I'm still working on the lighting and stuff here, so I'll get there. You know, I'm kind of changing things up here, and I'm getting things figured out. Now it's kind of a transition period for me. But I ended up here, which I kind of think of as Grandpa's old Caprice that we dug out of the barn. That, you know, in California, things don't get too rusty, but they still rust and they get dirty. And I did keep the original wheels. I just hit those with some Nuln Oil. But I hope you like this. I'm kind of happy with it. It's out of my normal range of builds, but I think it does look like Grandpa's car that we found later, and now we're going to clean it up and fix it up, but we're not going to keep it this way. So there's a couple glamour shots here at the end. I'd like to thank my subscribers for following along on these. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. And I'd also like to take a minute to thank my Patreon members for supporting me through these things. And everybody, stay safe and healthy out there, and take care of each other. And catch you in the next one.